Bryant. Today we're on a different set. I got different people here. You don't just see one big, bald, beautiful brother man. You see two. So I got my good buddy. He's like been a mentor to me. My kids call him Uncle, and some of you probably already recognize him. He is a author. He's an evangelist. He's a speaker. His name is Reggie Dabbs. Welcome to Frontline Faith, brother.
Good to be with you today. Come on, we're going to have a good day.
You know what's so funny? I was just thinking about this. You got two big bald brothers in the barber chairs. When was the last time you were?
All we need is LeBron James to come and sit down, and we got it going on.
What's that they do?
I don't even know what the name of it is, but this is better than that.
Yeah. Okay, but when was the last time you were in a barber's chair?
Dude, years.
Because I haven't paid for a haircut since college.
No, not at all.
That's how they roll. So here's the deal. Let me just kind of tell you what's happening today. Taking a little bit of break from the Frontline Faith, the politics, all that stuff. My buddy Reggie's in town. He's here speaking. You're at Evangel doing their spiritual emphasis. Is that correct?
I sure am.
And Reggie travels and speaks all over the world. We're going to give you a little taste of what he does. But let me just tell you what today's show is going to be about. Thank you for listening. Thanks for watching. I'm going to go to it right here. Thank you for listening. Thanks for watching, tuning in. We're a little bit late today. I told you guys this the other day because I just came from the hospital. So not in a bad way, in a good way. Our son Mason, who's been on the cancer journey, he rang the bell today to signify the end. Signifying the end of his treatment. So that was the deal there. So today we're going to talk with Reggie, talk a little bit about what he does, his message of hope that he has for our country. We need that right now. I'll give you a little bitty taste of the video from Mason and tell you a little bit about what happened with him. And then Reggie and I both will come on. Just spit this back over here. So Reggie and I will both have a conversation. We have both written books on race. What's the name of your book? It's called Black and White?
Not So Black and White.
Not So Black and White. So Reggie wrote a book about race, and then Angie and I wrote a book, and we're going to have a discussion because today it's coming out again.
Yeah, of course.
He's like, yeah. We just kind of expected that.
It's never ending.
And so that's kind of the deal there. So let's get it started. This is we'll have our interview.
Interesting interviews.
So here we are again, Reggie Dabbs. He's an author, he's an evangelist, he's a motivational speaker, he's a pastor, he's a husband, father, community member, and man, this guy, he's a mentor to me. I remember being a junior in high school. I went to Illinois youth camp, and I was kind of like, okay, Lord, what do you want me to do with my life? I'd been called into ministry before, but I just didn't know what I was going to do or how I was going to do it. Illinois youth camp, I see this dude, big, bald, black guy, a guy that looked like me. Representation's important, and I'm like, whoa. I'm seeing this guy here doing what he's doing. Okay, and I remember saying, Lord, if you can use him to do that, then my life is yours. And I remember befriending you at camp, and you just, and from there just came a friendship. And he's like, hey, I'll be around. You should look at this school called Evangel, because I wasn't going to Evangel. I was going to Western Illinois University to play football there. And he started talking to me about this school called Evangel. He's like, I come to town sometime. And he'd come to Nixa Assembly.
I sure did. That's back in the day.
Back in the late 80s.
That's back in the day.
And so, he would come there, and he's like, look, whenever you come to town, if you go to Evangel, when you come, I'll take you out to lunch. And so you said that.
That was over.
Because
every time even when I didn't call you, you found me.
I knew you were coming to town.
Found me, just found me.
The website was there, and I'd call him. I'd be, hey, hey, come, let's do lunch. And so Nick said to Evangel, and he's like, all right, let's meet here. I was like, oh, no, I don't have a car. I need you to come pick me up. So what would you do?
I'd get the church van, come and pick this little brother up and take him to lunch. He just hung out all the time.
And a lot of times it wasn't just me.
No, he always had friends.
I always invited people, and then of course
I had to take out a loan to pay for lunch.
I asked you to pay for it. That was jacked up back then.
You said I left my wallet.
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't have a wallet back then. Let's be real. But so, but I owe you lunch. Okay, I'll get you lunch.
Oh,
but
my
anyway,
goodness.
we're gonna talk with Reggie about what he does. But before we do that, I want to show you a little clip about what he does. This is the introduction to Reggie Dabbs. Or maybe, yeah, there we go.
Oh, that's cool. I'm usually within eye shot of seeing the gymnasium fill up, the auditorium fill up. See, there's a kid that's going to sit right here. It's going to sit right here. It may be a boy, it may be a girl. They may have a mom and dad that love them. They may just live with their mom or just their dad, or maybe one of their parents died of cancer, or maybe they're in an abusive situation. Maybe they wish they didn't wake up this morning. My job with my words is to come sit by this kid and to tell him you can make it, to tell her you love, to let them know that tomorrow holds the answer to the problem that they're facing today. My job is to love your kids just the way they are. Women sneeze pretty. Women sneeze like, men are like, bah! Women cry pretty. A man's like, argh.
He makes everybody feel loved and wanted.
He changed my attitude. I like that so much.
There's a few kids that you saw that had left the auditorium because he was so touched and moved by him.
Reggie really knows how to connect to the people who think that they're alone.
There's a bunch of other kids at my school that are going through stuff, and I bet he could change their lives too.
Reggie has a way of not only impacting the students, but also the staff, myself included.
If you're a coach in this room, you're the only dad I had. You're the only dad I know. You're the only father figure I have. And it worked. Thank you.
It may be a girl who believes in herself so much that she ends up finding a cure to cancer. It might be a boy who believes in himself so much that he ends up curing hunger in the world. It might be a girl who has a baby and her son grows up and becomes the next president. It might be in this very gym that there's one kid that can change the world.
Some of you want to quit. Some of you wish you could die. Not today. Not on my watch.
So, man, that's powerful what you do.
It's every day is an adventure and a journey, and I'm thankful.
So I've kind of given my, introduction of you, but in your own words, like, what do you do? Like, people say author, motivational speaker, this or that. I've known you forever. I've modeled my ministry after you. You've mentored me. You've given me pointers. In your words, like, what do you do? Like,
I just give hope in different formats, different arenas. I never dreamed that my arenas would switch or change, but you can be in church on a weekend, church on a Wednesday, but Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you're in a public school where you can't say the name of Jesus, but you can bring hope. You can bring meaning to life or give a kid a reason to keep breathing. So that's pretty much what I do. I help people breathe.
I was going to introduce you. I was like, he's going to be a dealer of hope, but I didn't want to put stuff in your mouth. But I can remember 30-some years ago, back in 1988, I think is when I first encountered you.
Yeah.
And I remember like, man, Lord, okay, if you can use, because I was called in the ministry when I was 12.
Yeah.
And now I'm 18, wondering how I'm going to do what God's called me to do. I'm like, okay, Lord, if you can use me to do that, then my life is yours. And I mean, God's used me. I mean, a lot of my people know what just the stuff that we've been able to do, our ministry. And it's, it's not a comparison, but I mean, it's not even a drop in the bucket of the stuff that you're doing. The people, like I've been out with you before. I've seen you. I've brought you in when I've been pastoring places. And I kind of want to, a lot of people know you, but for those that don't, let's kind of break this down a little bit, okay? So,
No problem.
you know, you primarily, I think you got your start doing schools, going into schools. Is that kind of the deal there?
Yeah, I used to do, back in the day, they used to always have youth revivals where like Sunday night through Wednesday night, the youth pastor would be able to bring a speaker and they'll do stuff every night. In that setting, I realized that during the day I would go golfing or, whatever. Then I was like, well, what if I did assembly programs in schools? Because I saw that when I was in high school. We had a couple of guys come through and I was able to get them in my high school. And then we'd do a thing at night where we would share the gospel. Back then, now you can't, but that's a whole different political thing that we could talk about if you want. But back then, we were able to invite kids to a night rally, tell them about Jesus, they get saved, and the rest is history.
What year was this?
That was 86, 87, 88, all the way to 99, 2000. That was, I think that's the last time that we were able to do the come back to Jesus thing at night.
Wow.
And now, but then we've decided, and it's almost like anything, you either die or you adapt. And a lot of people take adapting as some kind of bad thing. I really don't see it that way. For when they said you can't do a Jesus thing at night, so we're like, well, what if we did a family night? What if we let parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles come and see what we did during the day just for the students, and we can have them bring their parents, and all of a sudden that we get more people for that than we did for just come back and tell them about Jesus. But then we would do community events where if it's a family night, we go to the YMCA, Boys and Girls Club of America, Big Brother, Big Sister, the Baptist Church, the Lutheran, the Assembly of God, all of them. If you have a program that benefits young people, you can put it on display and, before and after the family night. So we ended up being able to bring a whole community together more than if we just did Jesus night. And it sounds weird, but it's more effective. We were really sending people to a church, a faith-based event, even more doing that way.
So and I've seen it. It's crazy. Like if you've never seen, like you go do these school assemblies, you talk about hope, and a lot of it is because you tell your personal story. Kind of give a little. You got to give.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm 6 years old. I go to school. Teacher takes attendance. Everybody has a first and last name except me. After a week of that, I asked my teacher why, and all she said was, "Your parents didn't tell you?" And I'm like, "Tell me what?" They go, "You don't have a last name." A week later was a parent-teacher conference, and my name was first. My parents came. And when the teacher got done speaking for about 10 minutes, we're leaving, and all my friends are with their parents, and all my friends' parents were young, but my parents are old. So I'm like, why y'all old? And when we got home, they put me at the kitchen table, and that's when I was told that I have a brother, 2 sisters, that my mom kept my brother, kept my sisters, but my mom gave me away because she said I was a mistake, and she wished I'd never been born. But the people who raised me, my mom's favorite teacher at school was my foster care mom. So she took care of me my whole life. Her husband was a school janitor. They taught me everything I know, and then they also taught me faith. So I grew up, I tell young people all the time, my past is my history, but my future is my destiny. As long as you're breathing, there's hope. All you have to do is just keep breathing, no matter what you're going through.
Yeah. And the thing about hope is it's universal. I mean, obviously, because you're Christian, you're a pastor, your hope is in Jesus Christ, but you connect with the world. That's the thing I've always liked about your ministry. I've seen you go into schools, you've been in jails, prisons, group homes, you've been everywhere. Yeah. And within no time, you got the crowd eating out of your hand. Part of that's because you play a little bit of music over there. Yeah.
A little saxophone action.
You can't sing at all, but
no, not at all, man. No. But there's been places where you've been, and then I go, and they go, "Are you gonna sing for us?" I go, "No, my throat hurts." Go, "Oh, I love it when you sing," and I know they're talking about you, but it's okay. Yeah. It's all right.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you this now. I've known Reggie for the longest time. We are good friends. He's a mentor to me. He was pastoring a church down in Florida. and we're looking for a place of ministry. He's like, hey, we got an opening down here. And so we moved to Florida because Reggie's there. And every single Sunday,
without fail,
everybody's like asking me, Reggie, I'm like, no, I'm not ready. Oh, you're not. They confuse me and him. Now, obviously, he's like, are you 22 or 24 years older than me?
Dude, I think there's a glitch in the system. What the heck, man?
You're 10 years
Dude, what old are you? How old are you?
52. Yeah.
Oh,
10.
I'm 51.
You're,
No,
look at that
I'm
camera.
61.
Exactly. I was going to say, you got
9. I'm only 9 years older than you.
And then,
Dude, you just had to get that in, didn't you?
Yeah, of course. But black don't crack. Okay, now, but everybody confuses us when we were down in Florida, Fort Myers at church. Now,
Yeah.
and I learned
That's because I look young.
Maybe so. Black don't crack. But I give people a pass because, and I'm going to tell the story about Angie. Remember we were at your house for, what was it, like Easter dinner or Thanksgiving?
You used to come to my house all the time. Wednesday night, you drop the kids off and come eat wings.
After church?
And then show up like it was no big deal, dude.
But so there's one time we're at their house for a meal. There's a few couples over there, and I was in the bathroom. I come out of the bathroom, and I see Angie come walking up behind Reggie, and she puts her hand on his back, and she starts rubbing it, and Reggie gives us this like, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, she
screamed, dude. She went, oh, no, I'm sorry.
And I was like, dang, if my own wife can confuse it, anybody can. So we were at the hospital today.
Your sister came in. Alex, I'm so sorry. She went, oh, my God. It was funny.
Okay, I don't even know.
I'm better looking, though. I said it first. It's over. Go ahead. What's the next question?
That's good. But I've seen, you get people eat out of your hands, like because you want to get the crowd on your side, and so you play the sax. You use what God's given you to. All these things are to get the opportunity to present your message. Is that kind of what the deal is?
Absolutely, absolutely. Music, humor, it all comes together, and it's like music, humor, my personal story. I think that's the key. When if a speaker is able to be vulnerable and share something personal, it changes everything.
Yeah. So you're in town now. You're speaking at Evangel University Spiritual Emphasis.
Spiritual Emphasis Week. Yeah.
Had a service yesterday. Their chapel. How'd that go?
It went really well, and it's cool because I haven't been in that chapel on that campus since 1999.
Is that the year you got kicked out of Evangel?
That's 1999. No. Okay. Why you have to?
I'm just kidding. You didn't get kicked out of
yeah, I did. But that was like 1985. I ain't got no shame. It's all a journey. Everything's a journey.
There's hope for everybody. Reggie got kicked out. You can get back in there too.
Dude, he's got this personal list of things I will bring out on this podcast. And you're just checking them off, aren't you? Just checking them off. It's all good. No, but I did. It was a great day. I got emails from kids, Instagram messages thanking me for coming, saying they can't wait. And I'll do tonight, and then tomorrow morning I'll do chapel.
So Evangel only give you, 25, 30 minutes to speak, whatever?
Yeah.
And you went in direct, and I mean, you got, 12, 1,500 kids in there. It's packed, the balcony's packed. And you give your message. The one thing that I know about you is not only do you have the right message, you got to be one of the best communicators I've ever personally heard. I've heard you speak how many times? 200, 300 times?
Dude, more than that.
I know your stories. I know it all. But every time, even me, and I'm a communicator for a living, it moves me. And I remember once when you were coaching me, you're like, okay, here's the deal. Obviously, you give them the message of Jesus. You don't try to water it down. But I remember you telling me you got to make every message. You try to make them laugh, try to make them cry. You got to make them mad. Then you got to leave them out there charging up, ready to go, to move. And really to take them on a ride, a journey. And you do that, and you do it masterfully. Yesterday, within just 20, 25 minutes, you give them a message. It's obviously Bible-based. But then 75, 80, 90 kids at the altar? Like how? Why?
Well, the main thing is that, you got to keep the main thing. And in a setting like that, all I can do is just point people to Jesus, point them to the cross, especially, when you're 18 to 24 years old and you're trying to pay a bill, you're trying to get your education, you're trying to make a grade. And while all this is happening, bad things are happening at home. You haven't heard from your parents in about 2 months. You just came home back from Christmas and it was horrible. You're wondering if mom and dad are going to still be together. You hurt. And that meant church. And in the middle of a Wednesday morning to give kids hope and say, hey, look, if you're hurting today, I just want to pray for you. And I believe that, prayer is a spiritual thing. I believe if you physically move, it's a physical thing. But if you do a spiritual and a physical thing at the right moment, it opens up the door for supernatural to happen in your situation, in your life, and in the people around you. So that's my job, especially in the evangel.
I mean, I'm going to say that again. You said, because I'm hearing you say that yesterday, prayer is
spiritual,
and then
moving is physical,
and that's something that we have to do. Like I was reading Exodus, I think it's 13 the other day, and the people cried out, and God's like, "Why are you crying? Get moving.
Let's go."
God's doing his part. He's like, "I'm done my part. You've already said it. I've heard you. Now get moving. Start walking." And then that was the supernatural. That's what it reminded me of when you said that. So
dude, that's true.
Prayer is a spiritual thing.
Moving
is a physical thing.
And that opens the door for supernatural.
So, you've been doing this for a long time. And I mean, what
39.
What motivates you to keep going?
Oh, the next kid, the next person. That wherever I'm at next week, I'm in Lubbock, Texas. And then I'm in New Orleans for a day. Somebody in the room needs to hear hope. And I get to be the one to give it to them. So that keeps me going.
So I think you got your start with Dave Reaver.
I was doing it before that.
Were you doing it
I was on my own
okay,
then.
So.
Like when you met me, I was just on my own.
Okay, yeah.
I didn't go to Dave Reaver till 99.
Okay, so.
No, 89.
89, so.
Yeah.
But you and him, and I mean, he has done school assemblies, but it's not a competition or anything, but I mean,
yeah.
I think every year you're in front of the most students of any speaker.
Yeah.
Like, how many people?
1.5 million public school students a year.
I mean, and not only here, but all over?
Around the world, yeah. And it's crazy. Around in other parts of like South America, Brazil, Argentina, and a lot of those countries, what they do is they're like, they'll like take 10, 12, 15 schools, put them in a soccer stadium, and just turn on the microphone, put me in the middle and say, go. And they'll do one in the morning, one in the afternoon. So at 10 o'clock in the morning, I'm doing one show. At 1:30, I'm doing another one. And that's about 100,000 kids when it's over.
Dang.
That's how those numbers grow. Or now here, I'll do like 6 or 7 a day. And we just go from one school to another, just keep moving.
I remember I brought you to St. Louis, I don't know, 10 or so years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We did 14 schools in like 3 days, something crazy.
Dude, that was great. We had a couple of days that were really good.
Yeah. And then so you're going into schools, you're talking with the kids, you're giving them hope there. Let's talk about and I've seen these kids responding. I remember we were in St. Louis a couple years ago. The teachers I remember that one principal at one school, she was so moved. She's like, you know what? Because there was 200-300 kids that were just crying there, and she's like, stay here as long as you want. You can be here the rest of the day. And they're begging you to stay long. I remember we had to send the team ahead to go and start doing stuff so you can stay and minister to those kids. Par for the course, or is that super? I mean, is that
no, that's about right.
That
is about right. It's about right. Now there are certain schools that fight for the last assembly program of the day because they know we'll hang around. And it's cool. It's good.
And you, how do you find the emotional and the spiritual capacity to almost carry that load? You know what I mean? Like, how do you do it? Like, you got all these kids coming to you with their tears, they're crying. You identify with them. How do you find that,
I got to go home. So go home is my refuge. That's like my home, Dallas, Texas, my home church, my family. So that rebuilds me because when I'm home, I don't have to do much. I just go and get fed, go to church, hold my wife's hand, and that helps. That helps me because on the road you're giving. Even when I come to Evangel, there's guys, hey, take us to lunch or take me to dinner. Kind of like you used to. It's still that way today. Last night I had your son in the car going to dinner, so it was like. But when I'm home, I've learned. You got to learn this stuff. Like back in 89, 90, 91, I'm like boom, 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 boom. I go home, boom, 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 and all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute. I don't feel right. And then I had to learn to regulate. When you're on the road, you're on the road. When you're home, you're home. You just got to somehow be able to sit. And I also learned the balance between, there's 52 Sundays in a year. And as the preacher part of me, you kind of want to preach all 52, but is that healthy?
Yeah.
And I found out it's not healthy. So I'll preach 15 Sundays a year, 18 Sundays. That's about it. But the other ones, I'm not fishing or golfing. I'm at church listening to somebody preach to me.
Amen.
Because I feed the spiritual man and the physical man.
It's a sacrifice, though. I mean, I've seen it.
Oh, yeah, it is. Oh, yeah.
On the road, hundreds of nights. Yeah. I don't know how many of you even count them.
But I look at it, though. Think about it. Like, you got two football teams that's made it all the way to the Super Bowl, all right? But what a lot of people don't know is they started last April. Right after the draft, they had OTIs or OTAs, whatever they call them. And last April, they started. And now it's February when they end, and they'll start again. So literally all they have is the end of February, all of March. And in April, you start again. So you really only have 1 month, 4 weeks to do what you got to do. And they're doing that for a game. We're doing that for a man's soul.
Yeah.
So you got to balance it, but yet and still. And you got to have a family that understands. You got to have, you got kids that understand. And you've done this too. You take them with you every now and then, just let them see what you're doing. So when they can't go, they're at home going, oh, Dad's not home, but he's doing his job. He's doing what we got to do.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've been married and you got a son. Michelle's been putting up with you for how many years now?
Next week, 34.
34 years.
Yeah.
She's been putting up with you for a while.
I know.
Yeah, and Michelle's awesome. That's the lovely wife. And Dominic is your son, good kid. What's he doing now?
He's an aeronautical engineer.
That's impressive.
Pretty much, yeah. He makes more money than me. You know what's crazy? He's never asked me for money since college. Now in college, phone's ringing. I mean, it's just like, hello, awesome. How much? I didn't even say hello, son. I was like, how much?
Didn't he? Did he just call Michelle my mommy? Because that's what my kids did.
Dude, I'm seriously, absolutely. But he's good. He's doing really well.
That's awesome. Well, we're gonna stick around. I got more stuff I want to talk with you about.
Out.
But we're talking with Reggie Dabbs. He is an evangelist, motivational speaker, school speaker, pastor, author, all that good stuff. Let's do this. Planet 417 is our network sponsor. They sponsor us. We're going to get a little clip from them, and we'll get back. I'm going to tell you about Mason. We'll go into that, show you a little video from there. Reggie was there. And then I want to have a conversation with Reggie about race relations. You wrote a book on that.
All right.
Not so black and white. So we're Frontline Faith with Alex Bryant. Stick around. All right, that's Planet 417. We're here with Reggie Dabbs. We're talking with him. So Reggie's like really a family member. Our kids have called him uncle. I remember when we had all of our kids, Michelle and Reggie, you guys are around for that. I remember and specifically, this is the funny when we had our fourth boy. Michelle wanted us to have a girl so bad. Remember this?
Oh, yeah, she did.
We were told that our fourth son, Joshua, he's 16 now, that he's a little girl. And the first ultrasound showed that. So Michelle wanted to be the first one to get us a baby girl gift. She had ordered it in advance. I go to the doctor's appointment. I come back, and in the office at the church, the gift is there on my desk, and it's a little diaper bag, custom diaper bag with Katie Bryant, because we said we're gonna have a girl, Catherine Elizabeth. So she'd already pre-ordered it by faith, right? And so this is for our son Joshua, who we thought was a girl. For a month and a half, we thought he was a girl. So we go for another ultrasound. Angie goes for her, and the tech is like, oh, yeah, well, he's doing fine. She's like, wait, no, you mean she? Oh, no, this is a little boy, and they show the ultrasound, and Michelle was so devastated. I remember her
She
coming.
was so mad.
She took the diaper bag back. She like took her gift back. She was so mad. But it eventually, like a year and a half later, we ended up having a little girl, so we ended up getting it. But they've been around for all that stuff. And so Mason,
You were averaging a kid a year for about 15 years there, bro.
just for about 10 of them.
Feels
We only have 5 years.
Feels like it.
But Aunt Reggie and Michelle likes to spoil the kids, so they know if they just hint around about something. Michael was telling the story yesterday. Like, I remember I just kind of said,
I like that video game right there.
and
All of a sudden, by nightfall, it was there.
she'd show up at our house. Like, my nephew said he wanted something, so I'm just giving it to him. I'm like, what is this? I used to hint around about wanting a new golf club. I don't remember ever.
Nah, ain't gonna happen. She don't like you.
Oh.
She likes your kids though, and your wife, but you not much.
Is that true, Michelle?
It's true. You don't even have to look in the camera for that one.
Ouch. That hurts. That hurts. Okay, but so Reggie came over. Mason was like, hey, he knew that Uncle Reggie was in town and sent him a message. Hey, I'd love to have you there.
No, tell him the truth. You FaceTime me, and I go, what's up? And he's like, Uncle Reggie, I get to ring the bell tomorrow. You coming? And I'm like, yeah, I'll be there. What the heck? How can you say no?
That's facts. Right?
But it was good. It was
So let's, we got a little video from that, just so you guys know. Mason, he's been cancer-free for about 2 years. April 29th, 2022, diagnosed with T-cell leukemia. We're St. Jude's family. I mean, they found a mass the size of my fist in his chest. They shrunk that down with chemo and with steroids. And because it's leukemia, it can get in your blood, so they keep doing the lumbar punctures, which are spinal taps, like once every 5 or 6 weeks. They'd cut him open, and when they'd want to make sure that there's no chemo in the spine, and then they'd infuse it with a heavy dose of chemo. So, and he has a port that's in his chest, and a couple times a month for each week he'd go there, and they do the chemo through that, and then sometimes it's just pills. So, but it's been 120 weeks, and today he was able to ring the bell. We had a little party for him, all the doctors and stuff, and the nurses. And so show this little video so that people can see.
No more chemo for you. No more chemo for you. No more chemo for Mason. No more chemo for you.
That is awesome.
I can watch that over and over, and that's a video Reggie recorded. I'm glad that he was able to see.
Dude, I'm a good cameraman. I see the zoom in and everything. Come on, man.
I had it
We're
from
making
the
it
other,
happen.
I had it from the other end. I'm gonna put them all together. I just kind of like looking at all that, but we're just so thankful and blessed that the Lord's had His hand on Mason. I had no doubt at the start of this journey that God was going to heal him, but I remember. God just said it's going to be the journey, though.
Yeah, but what was when he's waving the confetti coming straight towards you? What was going through your head?
Thankfulness, just thankfulness. Again, I just knew God was going to heal him. I know he's going to be fine. I know that cancer is going to come, but it's been hard. It's been a journey, man. I mean, it's been hard. Just. Watching him go through it, seeing his body change, seeing him deal with it. I kind of keep asking what he's learned from it, just seeing the growth. And then it's been hard on our family, emotionally, spiritually, physically, mentally. And so you kind of want to.
Yeah.
And yeah, like everything just came. It's like, man, I'm thankful. I just never doubted that God was going to heal him, but almost being at the end of the journey, tears of joy. But I'm tired too. Tired.
Can't imagine.
And just knowing what it's done to my family. Like as men, we can handle stuff. I can handle it. But just seeing her, Mason and Angie. On this last almost 3 years of treatment, they've been to Memphis extended times, like 4 different extended times, twice for 3.5 months each, and then another 2 times for like 3 to 4 weeks. And so, you look at about 8 or 9 months that they've been gone.
It's almost a year.
And I'm doing my best. Katie, is, she's 15 now, and, that was when she was 12, going through girl stuff. And then so being by myself here with that, but I'm so thankful. I had no doubt that God was going to heal him. He's healed in Jesus' name. But God told me it's like the journey is going to be tough, and it has been. But at the same time, what's crazy about it? This has been the best years for our ministry. I mean, the last couple years, we've seen 160 people saved through our ministry. I just went this past weekend and spoke at a church and did about 4 services. 78 people came to know the Lord, and so it's been so good. I've been on the road. I'm not as much as you, obviously, but it's been it's like the devil tried to slow us down and stop us, but what the devil meant for evil, God's using for good. Then even to see Mason, this has changed what he wants to do with his life. He wants to be a child life specialist.
Yeah. Wow, they were even saying this morning how he's going to go and volunteer there with kids.
Yeah.
Dude, so how, and it's like the Bible goes that God has ability to take your tragedy and turn it into a triumph.
That's
right. That he'll always turn it around. How does Fred put it? Late in the midnight hour.
God's going to turn it around,
and
around. And I've seen that. And then to see it change Mason, he was maybe wanting to be a dentist before, a pediatric dentist, but now he's like, I want to be a child life specialist, which those are the people. And I remember when we was in the hospital in St. Jude, he was there in the actual hospital for 58 days one time, almost 2 straight months, throwing up 4 or 5 times a day because he had pancreatitis. He had cysts on his pancreas. And there'd be people, child life specialists, that would come in. They would play Legos with him or do the ukulele, anything just to kind of spend time with him. That's what he wants to do. And he's always loved kids. He's going to be great at it. And there's a program at Missouri State, and so that's what he wants to do. And he wants to eventually work at St. Jude's. And I'm just proud of him. I'm proud of his toughness, his resolve. I was asking him this morning. He's like, God's used this to help mature him and to give him joy. And what the devil meant for evil, God used for good.
Come on.
I'm thankful, man. I'm thankful for that. So,
well, dude, thanks for sharing that. That's wonderful.
So, I need a little. I'm gonna get my eyes clear. Play our Frontline Faith with Pastor Alex. Do our other open video, and we'll be back in just about 30 seconds. That's the deal. Welcome back to Frontline Faith with Alex Bryant. Man, I'm honored to have a good friend of mine, pastor, author, motivational speaker, Reggie Dabbs here from Texas.
Come on.
That's an ugly.
Go Cowboys.
Oh, my.
Come on, go Cowboys. Let's go. What? Oh, what?
There you go. We got 2 Cowboy fans in here. I knew Frizz was going to like that. You're not really the Cowboys?
5-time Super Bowl champions.
They've not won the Super Bowl in Frizz's lifetime.
Wait, what's your team?
Ooh, let's not go there. This is about the Cowboys, not the Bears.
4 more and you'll be tied. I mean,
whoa. We have more NFL championships.
4 more and you'll be tied.
We were winning them before it was called Super Bowl.
4 more.
We've won 12, bro.
4 more and
We've
you'll
won.
be tied.
You're talking about Super Bowls.
Yes.
We've won
in the modern era.
Championships. Oh, modern era. They always say.
I can barely say that.
Yeah, modern era. Okay.
It's been 30 years. That's okay.
So, okay, I got to set this up. And, I want to say this too. Reggie, one of the things I've always admired about you, and Reggie doesn't have to dive into politics. He does his civic duty. I know that he votes, both him and Michelle. And but like if you, to you, you don't care if they're Republican, Democrat, Independent, whatever.
No.
Because, a hurting person's a hurting person.
Absolutely.
And that's what God's called you to do, and I love that. This is a cool thing about the body of Christ. God uses different parts of us to do different things. As our ministry's gone, he's using our ministry, Alex Bryan Ministry, Frontline Faith, to talk about some of these, and you've heard me say this a lot, these issues that are theological issues that culture's talking about, but we've relegated them to politics. I want to take them back from politics, and I want to talk about some of these things. And so that's my calling. That's what God's called us to do. God's called Reggie to go and bring hope. And again, different callings and stuff. So I'm not trying to get you into the political arena. That's not it at all. Unfortunately, racism, that is I believe, a theological issue. Racism's been in the Bible.
Yeah.
But now it's all about politics and it's weaned in there. And a couple years ago, you wrote a book, Not So Black and White. Show his book. I want you guys to go check this out. Not So Black and White, by Reggie Dabbs. And is it John Driver? He's your
Yeah.
So, but what's the book about?
And the whole thing, this all started when George Floyd died, and it all hit the news, and everybody was going crazy. My phone rang, and it was John Driver, and John lives outside of Nashville, Tennessee. He's a pastor, and he goes, "Hey, I need to ask you a question." I said, "Cool." He goes, "What's it like being black in America?" And I started laughing, and then I realized he wasn't joking, and he goes, "My wife," I'm looking at her, I go, I don't understand. And my wife told me, "You have a friend who's black, why don't you call Reggie?" And he goes, "Can I ask Reggie?" He goes, "You've known each other since you were 18 years old. If you can't ask him, you can't ask nobody." So he asked me, and we just started talking. And he goes, and he's one of those theological dudes. So he'll have a conversation, record it, go back and listen to the whole thing again. So he goes, "I'm going to push record." I said, "Do it." I figured you would. And we started talking, and it all came down to one thing. His daughter, his daughter's like just starting to drive. And so I go, "Okay, John, let's think about this. Your daughter, she gets in the car. What's the first thing she needs to do?" He goes, "Put on your seatbelt." I said, "That's not what my dad taught me." He goes, "What'd your dad teach you?" I said, "Well, let's see if you can guess." He goes, "Adjust the mirrors." No. "Make sure the seat's close enough to the pedal and brake." No. And he says, "Okay, what did he do?" I said, "My dad taught me to take my wallet out of my back pocket and put it in the cup holder. That way, when I get pulled over, the policeman won't shoot me because he thinks I'm reaching for a gun." First thing. And then we ended up with the book on Good Morning America and the Today Show. And the guy interviewing us, he goes, "The thing about the car, the wallet," he goes, "That's what and it was a black guy. He goes, "That's what my dad taught me." And I said, "Of course he did." And he goes, "And white people on the TV," it was like, no way, I can't believe that. So it's something so common, so easy, that is so polarized, little something like that. And what we have to do is, instead of looking at what separates us, we got to find out what brings us together. You think about the Bible, and you said it. You said there was even racism in the Bible. Yeah. The quick parts are the woman at the well. Okay, Samaria. No one ever goes through Samaria, but Jesus did. But then he sent all the disciples to get food, and he waited by the well. Nowhere else does he send everybody to get food. There's other places where he sent some of the disciples, but he never sent them all. There he sent them all, because if any of them stayed, they would have messed up what he wanted to do for that lady. Now the question is, if Jesus uses us, which he does, which one would you be? Would you be able to stay, or would he have to send you to Chick-fil-A?
Wow.
These are things, that's what my idea, and John, we wanted to make those kind of thoughts come up. So cool. It's not something that you can discuss it in a group setting. There's people who've used the book. There's colleges, universities that use that book. But there's also, it's something that you can read it and go, okay, wait a minute. What about me? How about the Good Samaritan? The Good Samaritan is crazy because Jesus, he tells a story where the preacher doesn't help. The guy who sings and worship, he doesn't help. The Levite doesn't help, but it was Samaritan, the least of them all, who not just helped, took the man, paid for everything, and gave him more than he deserved. He did it on purpose.
I'm going to tell you this too. So these are things like you gave a lot there. It's good stuff. I want to hit on some of these things. It's important for us people to share their experiences. And it's important for people to know other people see the world differently. My kids don't experience the world the way I do. I'm a little bit younger than you, but I was taught. I wasn't taught put the wallet in the glove on the cup, but I was taught, hey, but at that time it was license and registration in the glove compartment. My dad told me, and you get pulled over, keep your hands at 10 and 2, have the window rolled down. When the officer comes up, you say, sir, can I get my license and registration out of there, because you don't want them to think you're reaching for anything.
Absolutely.
So they're and the thing is, and this is the reality of it, a lot of black kids are told what to do if you get encountered with police. I mean, that's just the reality of it.
Well, you have to, otherwise something happens to them. Oh, I should have told them. You can't wait for no shoulda. You got to take care of it now. And a lot of people, and you know what? It's like people go, yeah, well. You're gonna always have that, but that doesn't mean it doesn't devalue what you went through or who you are.
Right.
I went to the school I went to in Minneapolis, Minnesota, North Central University. It's so funny because now, after I've graduated in my career and all that stuff's coming out about when I was a student there. I used to work probably 12 blocks from the school, and twice a week walking home from work, I would get pulled, I walked, and the cops would whoop, whoop, lay down on the ground. I used to wear dirty old clothes because I knew there's a 50-50 chance I'm laying on the ground in the snow, in the cold, in the rain, while they look in my wallet, and then they pull out a North Central Bible College ID, and they go, tomorrow we're calling the school to make sure you. And they'll call. And then the president would send for me, and I'd come in his office, and he'll go, you okay? And he even said, should I have a couple of students walk with you? They'll just meet you halfway. And I went, no, I'm all right. I said, they're not going to hurt me. They just want to make sure I'm me. And one time I went to that happened. I know they call me to the principal's office. I go through, and his secretary, her name's Lisa. And I looked at Lisa, and she's weeping. And she gets up and hugs me, and she goes, I am so sorry you have to go through that. And I'm like, excuse me? I said, no, I'm fine. It's all right, Lisa. It's all right. Then I go in. The president of the university, tears in his eyes. He goes, I'm sorry you got to go through this.
These are white people.
Yeah, these are all white people. And you know what it taught me?
What?
There's good white people out there. Yeah. And literally. And now I'm able to bridge gaps because I know not all white people will treat you bad.
Yeah, but Reggie, there's some people. I was talking to a young black kids in my ministry just today because they're hurting, they're mad, they're frustrated. Trump's a racist. How can you like a racist? Da 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 da. And they would look at that and go, "Why aren't you mad at white people? Why did you take that?" Because I get this all the time.
Yeah.
How do you tell a story with a smile on your face and brush it off? How do you do that?
My past is my history, but my future is my destiny.
See, that's the thing
But I had to have that to become who I am today. And and then you start putting pieces of the puzzle together. Like all of a sudden, I go to Australia, and there's a group called Hillsong and Planet Shakers, and they do schools like I do, and I do schools, and I go do schools for them. And they go, do you have a couple of friends that could come over and do? We got more schools. I said, dude, I got a couple of dudes that are rappers. They went, oh snap! Australian kids love rappers. So I come back and I go, I got two guys. They can come. They'll do a week and they'll do stuff at the rally. Cool. So a guy named Lecrae and a dude named Tadashi, we all went to Australia. We do all these tours and stuff, and they're called the 116 crew today. And there's a few of them, but they like straight up famous now. And you know what they call me? What? The Godfather. Because they go, if it wasn't for Reggie, we black people wouldn't be in them white churches. We wouldn't be making these albums, and kids wouldn't have 116 on their jersey and have the tattoos. But what happened? I had to let yesterday go so that all of us could have a future tomorrow.
See, and that's the thing. Like, it's some people, because I also wrote a book about race. This book, it's called Let's Start Again. My wife and I wrote this book, Let's Start Again. It's a biracial couple's view on race, racial ignorance, and racial sensitivity. Good. And you gave us you endorsed us on it. You gave us a shout out.
Very good.
And I brought it up because you and I have done this where I talk about in that book how race hits us emotionally, spiritually, physically, intellectually, socially, and it's hard to process. And I even talk about how dealing with racism is like walking through the steps of grief. Like if somebody's to walk in this room, if they're to walk in this room right now and be like, what are those two big ends up there? First, I'd be like, did he just say what he said? It'd be like a denial. It'd be shocked, right? When somebody dies, you're shocked at first, like, I just talked to them. I can't believe that just happened. And then it's like, no, that didn't happen. Then it's denial.
Denial.
And then you get to the point of where it's like, you're angry and you're mad, you're frustrated. These are dealing through the stages of grief. There's like 7 of them now. I think that when it comes to matters of race, most people, victims of racism, they're stuck in that anger stage.
Yeah.
And we have to get to the point to where we accept it, we start working through and get to hope. And that's what you do. You're a dealer in hope. Because if you have somebody that dies, and you may take your time to grieve. Some people take shorter, some people take longer, but you got to keep working through the stages. You can't get stuck at anger, at bitterness, because that's what it'll turn into. Because you'll never get to hope. And that's where a lot of people are with racism, I believe, in America.
That's good.
And then when you think about this, like you were talking about the story of the Samaritans, Jesus dealing with the woman at the well, the Samaritan. The history of that is the Jews were racist against the Samaritan people.
They hate them
because
they were the bottom of the food chain.
Because when the Syrians and the Babylonians came in and conquered Israel and took most of Israel back into captivity, they left a remnant, and that remnant of Jewish people married the Babylonians and Syrians, so they were half-breeds. They were mixed. So for 100 years, the Jews didn't even go through Samaria because they didn't want to talk to them. If the Jewish people who had the message of salvation didn't even walk through their country or talk to them, they're obviously not giving them salvation. So when Jesus came and had that encounter with them,
and the lady goes, "Why are you talking to me?"
And the thing is, like you, and I love you the way that you took it. The disciples didn't see the bigger picture of that. It's about the gospel. They're so busy going, our relatives hated them. I'm not talking to no Jew. I'm going to get food.
They're probably like, why we come this way? We should have went the other way. We could have went by Popeye's chicken, but no, now here we are over here.
I mean, Popeyes is never too wrong.
Popeyes is good.
Yeah. But this is the bigger picture of this stuff. And like Reggie, the joy that you have, the forgiveness, the love, the peace. A lot of people don't have that. I really want you to talk to people right now. Give them the message in that camera. I want you to like
that one.
Yeah, give them a message.
I can do that.
Give them
and it's simple. It's simple. You cannot change your past, but you can change your future. You can't change what they did. You can't change what they said. Now, here's what's great. The great thing that God did for us, he gave us a memory. He gave us a way to remember things. Like when the stove is on and you touch that red because you love red, you only do that one time because it burns you, and you don't want that to happen again. But we can't treat people the way we do an eye on a stove, because people can be better. People can treat better. People can help your dreams come true. It takes people to help people to change lives. So what you have to do is decide, I'm not going to stay there because there's a better future for me and everyone with me. And you just got to choose. You got to choose. Yes, I got hurt. Yes, it was. But you know what? I got God. And me and God are going to walk into another situation, and it's not going to be the same, because if I get hurt this time, God's going to protect me. He's going to take care of me. He's going to get me through it. But what you have to do is you cannot stay where you're at. It's almost like, you remember when, if you learn how to walk, I've never, ever, ever, ever seen anyone who ever was able to say, when I was born, I came out walking. Who could you imagine? Delivery room doctors like, push one more time. All of a sudden, kid comes out. What's up? I'm here. It ain't happening, dude. Where's my diaper? I got to go. And they walk out to the cafeteria, get a cheeseburger. Not going to happen. But guess what? You've never seen an 18-year-old crawl in a room and go, I tried walking, but I fell. I ain't never doing that again. You know, you taking them to a doctor. You know why? We fall down, but we get up.
Come on.
Even in racism, we fall down, we get up. There's people who are going to treat you bad, but there's people of the same color that's going to make your life a better life.
So, Reggie, I'm not hearing you say that racism doesn't exist. There's, just ignore it altogether. I'm not hearing you say that.
No. No, that would be, now that's stupid. Okay, that's just straight stupid.
But the thing is, though, that's a lot of people, like, they if they hear you say a message like this, they're going, well, he'd never experienced anything. Like the same guy that just said he gets pulled over going to school.
Walking.
I know that's like
to work and home.
But I want you to hear this, people. I want you guys to hear this. He's not denying that there's racism, that there has been, that there still is. There's still some knuckleheads that are racist. But what he's saying is, with God, rise above.
We can get past it. We're making the world better than what we have. And that isn't our ultimate goal as adults, to make the world better for our children who's coming after us. Because the bottom line is simply this, the most tragic thing when a helicopter hits an airplane and people perish and die, and we're watching it on TV. And for one moment, everybody who saw that was simply thinking, what if it was me at 9:00 last night? What have I done? What can I do? When you start live like you're dying. There's the phrase. And if everybody would do that, there's certain things that we let bother us that would not bother us. Watching your son ring that bell. Dude, there are certain things that used to bother you. Yeah. They ain't bothering you no more because you've walked through it. And that's what we have to do as people, as a family, as a nation, as a world.
I want to kind of get into some weeds a little bit. You got some time? I want to get into some weeds.
Yeah.
Because let's talk about some of the things that people are grappling with. I mean, and again, you don't dive into the world of politics. I do, but there's no denying that President Trump is a polarizing figure.
Absolutely,
and a lot of people equate him with racism. I don't necessarily, but let's just say somebody does or they don't. How can we as Christians? I guess my question is, why are Christians allowing politics to frame how we look at and view each other? Other believers and even non-Christian people. I mean, what's your message for that?
To be honest, I would blame pastors, and I'm a pastor, that somehow we let politics get too close to the gospel of Jesus Christ. And once you do that, the devil's always looking for a foothold. Whatever he can step in and take and just throw up, he's going to throw it up just to mess people up. And he did that in the last, 16, 20 years. He's done that. He used the pulpit, the platform on a stage, and what people say or don't say, and how they put this person with the Bible and that person's against the Bible, and they've done that. But here's the bottom line. The bottom line is, and I'll tell you what my dad told me. My dad looked at me one day and he goes, "Well, there's the president." Right after the election, he goes, "That is our president." And I went, "Even if you didn't vote for him?" He goes, "We are the United States of America." Yeah. He goes, "There's a reason why they put United in the front. So whether we act like it or not, we're still the United States of America." And we believe in that election. Yeah. We believe that whoever that is. And, you think about like 4 years ago when the election happened, it was rigged, it was what? But guess what? The last 4 years, Joe Biden was still President Joe Biden. Hello? And now here we are. And guess what? He's President Donald Trump. He's going to be President Donald Trump for the next 3.5 more years. You know what? The sun will rise and the sun will set. And you know what? Tomorrow, it'll do it again. But we just got to decide how we're going to live that 24 hours.
I love that. I see that there's a large group of people who are getting It's like we've made Trump bigger than what he needs to be or should be, either side.
Yeah.
Love him or hate him, whatever. Instead, he is a man. He's a flawed man, but he's the president. Same with Joe Biden. But and I get the whole call. We don't want our church to become to fall into nationalism, which is God loves our country more than he loves all other countries. God's fighting for America. That's really not the case. I mean, I get the history of it. That's how Hitler went and got the Jewish people to be on his side, or the German people to be on his side to go against the Jews. God loves our country. God's fighting for us. God wants us to have a cleansing of an Aryan nation. I get that whole nationalism, and there are some that do that. But I think it's a mistake for one side to think that if you vote for somebody, then you're into nationalism. Or the other side to look at, if you vote for that person, then you're into killing babies. You're not a Christian. It's like we can't do that to each other.
Oh, no, not at all. Because see, a lot of it's so different. Families are different. The color of your skin is different. Yeah. I mean, growing up, every black person was a Democrat.
Absolutely.
That's just the bottom line. It's
what you're Baptist.
Oh, yeah. Dude, you're Baptist and you're a Democrat. And I look at it and you're like, whoa, no, you can't be doing that. Look at what that. And I'm like, wait a minute. No, that's not the way what happened? It's like, what happened? But the bottom line now is we have to do like the way I do schools. It's got to develop. You got to be able to develop. You got to be able to adjust. You got to be able to. And there comes a time when just that old song. You're my brother. You're my sister. So take me by the hand. Together, we will work until he comes.
Okay, so I want to land the plane on that. There's one other thing I want to touch on before we do, and then we're going to kind of get to that point of unity, because we have to have people that are like, there's some issues that need to be discussed. I mean, like, you look at things like these issues that we're having that are...
Well, right now, give Trump 2 more weeks and all those issues will be taken care of. He's knocking them down. Hey, that's done.
He's just
making it happen, bro. His pen is going to run out of ink. I'm just saying, man.
That's so funny. But this is where I'm at, and this is why I want you to see. I want you guys to hear me on this one. This is one of the reasons why I want to do this podcast, Frontline Faith with Alex Bryant, because I want to talk about some of these issues. I think a lot of them are theological issues. When I was running for Congress, I came up with 7 issues. I call them the pastor's pledge. Life is given to us by God. So I'm not saying I'm pro-life or pro-choice. I'm for life. I think that we need to take these things out of the political arena and bring them back to the theological arena, because society's talking about them. We talk about marriage between a man and a woman. Being a police and military is a sacred calling. There is freedom from addiction. There's 7 things, and I give you scriptures to back up what I'm talking about. So I think that we need scriptural, theological teaching on these things. That's why I feel called to do Frontline Faith. So I want to say that. Now, here's the thing I want to get back to you with, Reggie, and I want you to I want you to give a thought on this. And this is what I say to anybody. I'm giving you my perspective based on when I read the Bible, based on the way that I think that the Bible tells me. I'm not claiming that I'm right on everything. I could be wrong. I could miss the mark. If I am, can you still love a brother?
You should. You have to. Listen, last thing I want to do is get to heaven and have to wear a name badge. Listen, I want people to already know who I am, man. And if I separate people from what they believe or don't believe, I'm going to have to put a name badge on. Yeah. And I think it's going to shock a lot of people who's in heaven and who ain't there.
No, you're right. You're right. That's kind of where I'm at with it. And I just want to encourage us, as we're grappling with some of these issues, let's first of all look at them from a theological perspective. Don't allow your R or your D, Republican or Democrat, to taint things. I do think that our theology should inspire our politics. I think that we should vote. Yeah. We're told that's a part of being patriotic, not nationalistic, patriotic. Pay your taxes, serve in the military if they call, vote. These are things that we do for patriots. And based on your understanding, your reading of the Word of God, it should inspire the way you vote. It may be different from me. I got friends that are Christian, love the Lord, black, white, that vote completely different than I am. We have conversations. We sharpen each other. We might even jab each other, rib each other. We interact. But at the end of the day, it's my brother and sister in Christ. And I think you can be a Democrat and still be a Christian. I think you can be a Republican and still be a Christian. I think you should be an independent and still be a Christian. Now, I think that all of those groups should be working to make sure that the party platforms that you support lines up with what the Word of God says. That's how I look at it. So I appreciate your teaching, your leading on issues of race and talking about it. You're never shy away from talking about these issues, but you know how to keep it, which is the main thing with this Matthew 28:19. Making disciples, brother.
And when you look at it my whole life thing is, act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with my God. And now only individual knows if they're doing that or not.
That's good.
So that's it. So
that's good. Well, this is Frontline Faith with Alex Bryant. We got Pastor Reggie Dabbs. Pastor, I'm going to ask you we're going to leave on a word of hope, okay? That's how we're going to end this one. Right, I'd love to do this one. I'm going to have you do that in a second. But, hey, thank you guys for watching today. I know it was a little bit later today. You know why. You got to see the video with Mason and everything.
Ding, ding.
Yeah, it's been an honor having you here, my good friend Reggie, mentor, one of the inspirations, helped me along the way. Gave me chance to speak on the stage when I didn't know what I was doing. I remember one of the first times you put me in front of a school, bombed, like nobody's business.
We took care of it. They don't remember. It's all right. Those kids are all right.
I'm up there thinking I'm funny, making them laugh, and I hear
it's
crickets. And then within 25 seconds, they're all laughing at Reggie. I'm like, oof, I blew that one. But anyway, if there's hope for me, there can be hope for everybody. But Pastor Reggie, it's been great having you here. give them a word of hope in that camera.
All right, let me. I'm gonna try to get this in quickly. I don't want to hold up your time or
Preach
anything,
it.
but here it is. Here's the phrase. I'll do it 2 times. The move that you're afraid to make could be the one that changes everything. Here it is.
Ooh.
The move you're afraid to make could be the one changes everything. We got to go way back in time. World War I. There's a man by the name of John Blanchard. He gets drafted. He goes to Florida, does boot camp, special training. It's Friday. On Monday night, he's getting on a boat to go over and fight in a war that he doesn't want to fight in, World War I. His CO, the guy who trained him, looked at him on Friday and said, you need to go to the library. They'll give you 2 books to take overseas with you. Any 2 books. Just go pick it out, and they're awesome. So he went. He saw a book. It was leather bound. That's old, Alex. That's an old book when it's leather bound. He grabbed it. He sat down and started reading it, and he got so caught up in this book that the librarian came, tapped him on the shoulder and said, we close in 5 minutes. He wasn't enthralled with the words that the author wrote, but someone had rented that book and wrote notes in the margin all throughout the whole book. And he was reading what they wrote. And he looked at the librarian and goes, is there any way to find out who had this book, who wrote in the margins? She goes, I can try to find out, but you have to come back Monday. He goes, I don't leave till Monday night. I'll come back Monday. So, and I want this book, but I'll come back Monday. When he came back on Monday, that lady gave him the name and the address of the lady who wrote in the margin. Her name was Hollis. Nowadays, they would not do that. No. They give you somebody's address now. Your bank account will be empty by 12:05. I'm just saying. So what did he do? His last day before going to World War I, he wrote a letter to Hollis asking her if she would be his pen pal while he fought for America in a war. And a month later, he gave her the address where he can get his mail. He got his first letter from Hollis. And they wrote back and forth, back and forth. 14 months, they wrote back and forth. On month 12, he took a picture of himself in his army uniform, sent it to her and said, I think this war is ending. I'm going to come to New York and I want to meet you face to face. He got a letter back. No picture. And she said, I don't want to ruin what we have, but here's what I'll do. When you get back, you tell me the day that you're coming to New York. I'll meet you at Grand Central Station at 7 p.m. I'll be the lady with a rose on my lapel. That's how you'll know who I am. That day finally came. He got there at 4 p.m. He couldn't wait till he got ready. 6:55. He stood up, straightened his uniform, and he's looking for somebody with the rose. There was a lady, blonde hair, blue eyes, green dress. When she walked by him, she winked and said, hey, soldier, going my way? Instinct took over. John Blanchard took 2 steps toward her. Then he realized she didn't have a rose on her lapel, but he had to make a choice. The move you're afraid to make could be the one that changes everything. He had to make the right move. He wasn't there for the green dress. He was there for the rose. When he looked as she went by, there was a lady, mid-40s, gray and black hair tucked into a baseball hat with a red rose. He walked straight up and said, my name's John Blanchard. Here's the book. Here's the one you wrote in the margin. And the lady smiled and she said, son, I am so sorry. I have no idea what you're talking about. All I know is the woman in the green dress asked me if I'd wear this red rose. And if you came up to me and said what you just said to tell you, you passed the last test. She's in the restaurant across the street waiting for you.
Wow.
Watch. The move he could have made would have lost everything. The move he should have made was the best move ever. Because guess what? He went across the street and it started. 59 years of marriage.
Wow.
9 kids, 29 grandkids. The move you're afraid to make is the one that changes everything.
Wow.
Make the right move. There it is.
That'll preach. That will preach. So, man, Reggie, thank you. It's been a privilege and an honor.
Come on, man. Can I come back sometime, sit in the barber chair again?
Anytime.
Come on. Dude, even the engineer said anytime. I like that, man.
Hey, that's all we got for you this time on Frontline Faith with Pastor Alex. Hey, as always, like, subscribe, share it, and we will see you next time.
Peace.
Word.